Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We've now heard from Mike Bergonzi and Chad Brinker last night at 7:30 p.m., which is a diabolical time.
You did.
Yeah.
I forgot they were on.
Well, I mean, you didn't really learn a lot.
I didn't miss anything?
I don't think you really missed anything. And you missed them, but you missed all these guys who didn't play on the football field brag about their Super Bowl rings. They said they got 9 Super Bowl rings between this front office. Chad,
they put their sales bid out there.
Yeah. Chad Brinker was a scouting assistant during the Green Bay 2011, I think.
Assistant?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the closest bragging rights you got is probably Mike Bergonzi being assistant GM for 2 of the 3 Super Bowl rings he got. So, a little much.
They were all on the staff.
They were all on the staff. Little much, though. It was a little much by them.
He might have helped him get a couple, players there with his insistence on the road.
Yeah. I have mixed reactions about that press conference last night. Listen, I understand why everybody's asking where's Amy Adams drunk and all this kind of stuff. And, but ultimately, hearing from her is not going to change anything. And hearing from her isn't going to do anybody any good. I get the as a media member, you should be pushing and asking and poking and prodding and all that kind of stuff. But in the big scheme of things, it's really not going to satisfy anybody because right now she's letting the football people do the football stuff. And Chad Brinker obviously is the driving force around this whole anything going on with football right now. And he's the one who's getting asked the questions, right? Not Mike Bergonzi. He's having to get Mike Bergonzi to come in. I don't know. See, that's the thing you missed.
Bergonzi even answering questions? People were commenting like, I don't know if he really wanted to be there. Like,
I mean, Chad Brinker's looking at him as like, Mike, you want to take this way? He's like, help me out here. Help me. Step in anytime. And like Mike Bergonzi's just like he's not even paying attention. He doesn't want to be up there. You can tell he had a really long day. And he's just like, I don't want to be up here, man. Like, what are we doing? It's 7:30 at night. We fired our head coach. We had to get another head coach. I had to address players. I had to address the staff. Like, I had to do all these things. Like, could we not have done this earlier in the day? That's what it kind of feels like. And so, I don't know, like,
maybe they didn't know who was going to be the interim, and they needed to kind of sit down and have conversations during that time first.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just, to me, it's just like, what are you going to get out of Amy at this point? I don't think you're going to get anything that's going to make you feel better. And I think a lot of people just want her up there so, they can kind of like throw tomatoes at her in a sense of, you've made all these bad decisions. And I don't think this is a bad decision, by the way. I don't think firing Brian Callahan was a dysfunctional decision or bad decision. I think the keeping of Brian Callahan was probably a bad dysfunctional decision. But I don't find this to be I think because of other decisions, this decision is getting lumped into it. And I don't think it's that bad. And to be honest, how many owners besides Jerry Jones do we really hear from on firing and hirings? It's obvious with Chad Brinker doing the statement, you got what you needed.
Well, he told him, he represents her. He said that, right?
Right up there. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get I guess I understand why media is wanting it, but I don't understand the outrage behind it, I guess, for me.
Of all the history over the last, you've been covering 4 or 5 years where she's fired all these people.
Yeah.
Did you think any of them was a mistake? Or let's say that surprised you?
I would say timing may have been curious on the John Robinson one. And I really thought that maybe because he built up so much goodwill that maybe he would have gotten another shot. But but I agreed with it. I understood it. Just maybe not at the time.
Right. But everything else, you're pretty much
except I'm more perplexed by her keeping Brian Callahan after firing Rand Carthon. Like that's to me is the more, and maybe that's not her decision. I don't want to put that at her feet, but ultimately she could have, if she didn't want it or she thought it was a bad idea, she could say no.
Yeah, ultimately, I think all those firings were all justified. I think that I'm with you on the John Robinson, just timing, and it was a little surprising, especially where they were as a record. Seems like it was more of a, maybe we shouldn't have traded A.J. Brown. I'm sure that'll always be a factor in that equation. Everything else, I think, was appropriate in my mind or was justified. I think once you made one decision, though, I think she didn't understand how that rolled into the GM or the head coach, that they need to be tied together.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to make that decision, maybe looking back on it, what you learn is that maybe I should have got rid of the coach at the same time I got rid of the GM, since the GM was the one who hired him. But you don't know how those conversations went. Maybe, the new, Berganza and those guys say, hey, let's give him one more shot. He's kind of an offensive guy. Let's see how he works with Cam Ward. Maybe he's on a short lease, but let's see if we can make this work. So maybe they thought, and she said, okay, well, let it work. If not, then we're going to move on. And she had the short leash, and she said, it's time.
Yeah.
So I agree with all the decisions pretty much.
And I think that's with me. Like, I get that from the outside looking in, and I get where people draw the line of dysfunction.
And see, people want to say dysfunction, and they keep saying that, and I get why that is.
I get why they say it, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with it.
But is it more of because she wants to win really bad?
Well, that was what was interesting, because I heard on Buck's show, because they were talking about Miami Dolphins and attractiveness, and he said, well, he started making the excuse on behalf of Stephen Ross, saying, well, Stephen Ross wants to win. He just has bungled his decisions. He's bungled his decisions. Okay, well, why are we not allowing Amy Adams-Strunk? Do we think that Amy Adams-Strunk is making decisions not to win? She may have bungled them. But you just gave grace to Stephen Ross, but you're not giving it to Amy Adams-Strunk.
I can't speak on their behalf.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is that's what he said.
That's how the media does.
That's a double standard to me.
It is. Yeah, it exactly is.
And listen, here's the thing. I understand that firing and hiring and firing and hiring and firing and hiring.
And she says, I'm going to get it right at some point.
At some
point,
it
has to go up.
Right. Like, I mean, at some point, you hope that it goes up.
Oh, no, it did for the Texans. It was 3 years in a row, right, Ross?
Right.
Or who's ever back there? Yeah. So, I mean,
sometimes bad processes.
Everybody was laughing. I was like, hey, but you got to give them credit. They's like, nope, that's not the answer either.
Right.
Clip gone in a year.
I mean, how many
Clip
people
gone in a year
on the radio, on this station, have talked about firing Brian Callahan?
Oh, every show.
How many people on Twitter have talked about firing Brian Callahan?
Pretty much everybody.
And now that she's done it, or Chad Brinker has done it, now that it has happened, now everybody's mad and it's dysfunction. That doesn't jive. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
But I understand why people view it that way from the outside looking in. I understand why people viewing it close to here, because they have made decisions at wrong times. But at the end, can't we say that every one of them was justified?
I agree with all of them, pretty much, except for the John Robinson was timing. It might have happened, but maybe not that time.
Yeah, outside of timing, everything was justified.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you can't really have 2 losing seasons and let your roster deteriorate and be an a-hole. You can't do that. Yeah. You can't miss, not on just 3 first-round draft picks.
Who are you referring to on that?
Well, that was Vrabel.
I was just making sure people knew. Because, now he's the folklore and he's coming back and he's our savior.
Well, that's what everybody wants to do. You can't miss on 3, not just 3 first-round draft picks like John Robinson did, but 3 entire drafts like John Robinson did, and trade A.J. Brown and keep your job. You can't be, what was he, 4-19 and look worse, and that's Brian Callahan, look worse and get to keep your job, especially when you have a rookie quarterback. And he shouldn't have kept his job after Rand Carthon was fired, and Rand Carthon got fired. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that he shouldn't have been fired or anything like that, but he was mediocre at best, and it seemed like a forced marriage, and then someone else got promoted over him, and it was just messy. They didn't trust him anymore. And when you lose trust, you get fired. And so at some point, we just have to understand that while the timing may not be ideal and you don't want to be caught in a cycle of hiring and firing, these were all decisions that make sense. They really, truly do. Yeah. Everybody deserved to get fired.
But what did you think about McCoy? I forgot he was even on the staff.
Yeah.
How much did he interact with the players before this, in particular on the offensive side?
Well,
I don't know that.
I remember seeing him out there at practice talking and everything. Now, I don't know what he does in the meeting rooms or anything like that, but I mean, he was kind of floating around talking.
He's an analyst, right?
Yeah. So, senior offensive assistant, I guess is what you would call it, maybe, or senior offensive advisor.
Curious on who hired him. I know everybody's acting as though Brian Callahan did because when he was at, I think, Denver maybe or so. But was that his suggestion for some oversight on just what do you see?
Yeah. And maybe it is. Maybe they spent yesterday.
Schwartzy did. I mean, Vrabel did with the. I mean, people do this all the time. Typically, they are then just buying time till their next head coach job, which he's been a while since he's been a head coach.
Well, and he said a few things that are, and we'll get to them coming up next, but he said a few things in the press conference that we've been saying on this radio show that this offense wasn't doing for the last 1.5 years. Something that really jives with what, the Chiefs do and the Packers do and stuff like that. And so maybe they interviewed all three guys. Maybe they interviewed Mike McCoy, Bones Fossil, and Denard Wilson yesterday. And maybe that's why it took till 7:30 p.m. Maybe that's why it took long. And they wanted to figure out what was going to cause the least disruption, but also be best for the team. And I have to say, I don't know much about Mike McCoy's tenure at the Los Angeles Chargers at the time, other than his passing offenses were pretty good, but his defense was a little bit bad and his rushing attack was terrible. I know that he was like 41 years old when he got the job. And I know that he's 53 now, and that means that maybe he's learned a lot, right? All I know is that what I heard today seems like a good little direction for the rest of this season to go. It seems like a guy that's going to be holding people accountable. He spoke a lot about Big Jeff and praising Big Jeff for calling out bad practices. He spoke about how Big Jeff plays and more players should play like him. He talks about how he's going to change stuff on the offense and what Cam Ward needs to work on. Still a bad roster, but sometimes a different leader, and he talks about being a leader, like he loves being a leader. Sometimes a different leader can lead the troops in a different direction.
No doubt about it. Before we go to break, I'm going to just say this. This sounds eerily familiar. Wizenhunt to Malarkey?
It does. It is a mic.
And it's a mic. Maybe that's my attachment to this. Maybe
Mike Malarkey, Mike McCoy, Double M, Mike Munchak. There's a lot of mics that have floated through this Tennessee Titans head coach. Mike Vrabel.
Coaching, and then now all of a sudden.
Yeah. So we'll see. Coming up next, we'll get your all's reactions. We'll also hear from interim head coach Mike McCoy. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Parents of high school athletes sidelined by an injury or surgery will get back in the game faster with Edge Peptide Therapy's athletic recovery program. This 2-month of oral peptide protocol of BPC 157 and TB 500 science-backed stars for tendon healing and reduced inflammation, muscle repair, and cellular regeneration. Yeah, no needle-free, hassle-free, and no injections or long meds. So you say, what is BPC 157? Well, it boosts vascular growth and neuroprotection, as well as TB 500 restores blood flow and joint health. Trusted for years in adult wellness, and now for, teens. Families love it, and adult wellness now for everyone, even our teens who we love so much, and you recover much faster as an athlete. And we all know that Edge Peptide Therapy regenerates stronger than ever before. So all you have to do is just give them a call at 615-724-1878 for more information. That's 724-1878.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Let's go to the phones. We got two Dans on the line. We're going to go to the Dan in Lewisburg first. Dan in Lewisburg, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
What's going on, Dan?
Doing good. Okay, I guess the biggest question I got about the Titans, Callahan's gone. Okay, we all know that now, so we move on. How much different will the playbook be from Callahan to McCoy?
Well, let's hear from the interim head coach, because today he did talk about what changes he will implement for Cam Ward and the offense. So here's the interim head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Mike McCoy.
Well, I think, we've got to – I'm a big believer as we go moving forward. You always got to think players and not plays. And I think we guys got to – you look at this and we got to decide, okay, moving forward, and it's early in the week still. So each week you look at what a defensive scheme, what they're going to run, what do our players do best. So, we got to sit down and like we've done the last, couple hours this morning, getting into the game planning against a good New England team is what does Cam do best? And what do we do best as an offense? And that's going to be every week. So that's the big thing when we go in there. We got to look at our scheme. What are we doing? And it's going to change from week to week on what we do best.
Okay, we're big fans of players over plays on this radio show. We've been touting that for a long time now.
We have.
And maybe the playbook does not change. But what you go into and look at the playbook is find the plays that your team does well against this style of defense, and it's going to change week to week. Now, he also talked about complementary football and all that kind of stuff. But the biggest change, the biggest shift everyone should see is players over plays. Because there was a rigidity to this offense where these players had to play perfectly. And so while the playbook may not change, there may be additions or tweaks to it. But while the playbook does not change, how they implement it and how they execute it as from a play calling standpoint and game planning standpoint should change based on those comments by Mike McCoy.
Yeah, I would think first and foremost, nothing as far as the verbiage of the playbook will change. Mm-hmm. He will adapt what his playbook is to the actual playbook and put it in everybody else's terms, because everybody knows the terms that were used before. So he didn't, as far as he was the guy not calling the plays. So he has his own playbook. So he's just going to implement it way. Now, the way he utilizes it may be totally different.
Right.
We'll get to see that. And the way he's talking about all the things that we've kind of, stressed over this time with the Brian Callahan as the coach, kind of emphasizing more the players and how to utilize them versus certain schemes and systems to their strengths, and see if that actually happens. Easier said than done,
right?
Though, but that's what he's thinking off the top, and that exactly resonates with me when I hear that. And in our show, which we've been kind of talking about the whole time.
Maybe Mike McCoy's been listening this whole time.
Yeah, he might. He had a lot of free time, but I don't know about that. So we'll see. A lot of talk. Now it's all about action. I'm all about that action, boss. And you can talk your way to a great job, but can you maintain that job and keep the job? And that's what we're about to see. He may be, when it's all said and done, maybe that's why I said the Wiz and Hunt to Malarkey. It could feel somewhat the same if he has some form of success when you see everybody improving from an offensive standpoint. Now, that's not meaning you're going to win a whole bunch of games, but if you do start saying, man, this can possibly work, I think that's where Mike McCoy says that's the only place I want to get to right there. And then you guys got to make a tough decision. Yeah. Because I've been working here, and then we got to sit down and do interviews, and then after, and everybody's doing the interviews, and there's also the comfort level in that this guy's been in the building. He knows the players, and if he has somewhat of success, I'm just saying like wins 4 games or something, and then now you got 5 wins, he would possibly be a candidate for the head coach permanently.
Because that's what his intentions. Yeah. And
typically never happens, but
right.
It does happen every now and then.
Listen, the intention of every head coach in the NFL is to win. But this is a guy who's done it before, who has been a position coach and coached many different players, been a wide receivers coach, a quarterbacks coach, an offensive coordinator, and a head coach. Mm-hmm. So he's got a lot of experience. And maybe he never thought he was going to get this second shot. Right. there is something about if him being a leader and a guy that has been a head coach before who probably wishes he would have done some things differently if he ever got the shot again. There is something to a guy coming up and saying, I'm going to make you hire me. Like, I'm going to go out here. I'm going to take this staff, the same players, and I'm going to make you want to have to hire me. And now listen, again, players still got to win you games or look competitive and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, but his mentality and approach to how he's going to handle the rest of the season, his mentality likely is, this could be my shot, my last shot. I'm going to make them have to hire me.
Is this his second or third shot as a head coach?
Second shot.
Second shot, right.
Second shot.
Chargers the first time. And they only went to the playoffs with Phillip Rivers only one time?
Yes, one time, I think.
But worst case scenario, he at least will get you back to middle of the road.
Right. Which middle of the road is
8, 9,
mediocre at best is better than what you've been.
We're getting real close to the bottom of the barrel right here.
Well, I mean, you heard what the Raiders coach said. I don't know if you saw that. Our boy Mike Silver, wrote an article.
I was like, put a name on it, Mike.
Worst coach or worst team that he's seen in 25 years, I believe is the quote.
I was like, no, who said that?
I don't know, but that's not good.
And he said it came from a Raiders person who said that we're not very good.
Right.
Oh, my.
And remember what the Colts said, coming out and looking flat. Jeffrey Simmons said they looked flat and all this kind of stuff. Like, again, I am not expecting Mike McCoy to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans in 2026. I'm not expecting Mike McCoy to go to the playoffs.
Right.
But if Mike McCoy can at least get this path and this young team into a better frame and into a better position going into 2026, that does wonders for your team, regardless of what happens after the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I think that's what they're hoping at worst case scenario. And then they move forward. And maybe they still want to get another head coach, and maybe he's just not the fit they want, but he did a good job. Or maybe even gets him on the radar for maybe another head coach opportunity. So we'll see. But this was the right move. So people can want to say what they want to say about Amy Adams Strong. I pretty much agreed with every decision that she's made. And guess what? You got to give her credit. A lot of people don't. I will credit for, guess what? That one didn't work. I'm going to make sure it works. I'm going to keep going at it till I get it right. Too bad. Guess what? It's just out in front of everybody because she's the owner and it's an NFL team. But this goes on all the time in the corporate world. So
he went 9-7, 9-7, 4-12, 5-11 at San Diego during his time there. Not great.
Right.
But listen,
But
Pete Carroll wasn't great in his first stint, right? There's a lot of people that weren't great their first stint. And because, he even said today, he was honest. I don't know. I had no clue what it was, everything that it took to be a head coach. I had no clue when I got the job. All the stuff that falls under my purview. So I wasn't as prepared. But, his first season, they went to the playoffs. They were 1-1 in the playoffs. 1 win, 1 loss. So they at least played 2 games in the playoffs. Again, not expecting that that this is going to dramatically alter or change the season. But if you're talking about competent, competitive football, I feel like we're going on the right path right now. Coming
27-37 in his career.
27-37 in his career.
One playoff appearance.
One playoff appearance. All right, coming up next, we'll get to more of your phones. Luke, Dan, Titanomics, John, and more. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
You might not know this, but there's an auto repair company that pays its mechanics more than any other repair shops they know of in the area. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop for Eurofix. And why would Eurofix do that? Well, a decent technician can make $50 to $60,000 a year, and a good technician that's pretty fast can make up to $120,000 a year. And a really, really fast technician who's really, really good can make up to $180,000 a year as a mechanic. Can you believe that? And a lot of people look down on mechanics, and they shouldn't. Local owner Aaron Stokes is an ex-mechanic, and mechanics are what make the world go round, as Aaron Stokes would say. Everything's out there has to get done by the mechanics. So did you know that Eurofix is not open on the weekends? And you say, why? because Eurofix wants the kids of moms and dads employees to have fun over the weekends and spend time together. And Aaron Stokes figured out a long time ago, if home life is happy or unhappy, work life will be happy or unhappy as well. So that's why Eurofix is open Monday through Friday, and European vehicles fixed at below dealer pricing. Got a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repairs with Eurofix when they perform them, of course. 5 locations, and all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Of course, we're broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. And let's go to the phones. Let's go to Dan in St. Louis. Dan in St. Louis, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Dan the man.
Hey, Blaine. Hey, Zach. How's it going?
Going good.
First-time caller.
Oh, appreciate it.
Been recently partaking of the Cover 2 juice, so I enjoy your show.
Ooh.
I just have a little comment I want to make about Mike McCoy, and then I have a question for Blaine, if that's all right.
That's right.
Cool.
I don't know if you remember this, but let me take you back in time to Mike McCoy's final season in San Diego when he was head coach. And I believe it was Dean Spanos who publicly came out and told the media that if Mike McCoy lost the final home game in San Diego, that he would be fired immediately following that game. And the entire game, the cameras were on his face. And the last, I believe the last drive came down to a game-winning play, and Philip Rivers, I believe, was the quarterback then, and Mike McCoy started crying on national television. I don't know if you guys remember that. I believe it was either a Sunday night or a Monday night football game, but the man literally embarrassed and emasculated himself in front of the world, and that was one of the most pathetic and embarrassing moments I can recall in recent broadcast history. And just for that alone, I think that he should be banned from being an interim head coach for a Pop Warner League team. That was just something that should never have happened. And he was crying not out of nerves or anything like that. He was crying because he knew he was about to be fired. And I believe that he was only there for like another week before the season ended, and he was fired anyway.
I'll search for that video because I did not know that ever happened. I don't remember it happening, but I mean, like I said earlier, I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of San Diego.
What year was that?
I don't remember exactly. I think it was.
Should be
he was
16
there for 3 years, right?
Oh. Yeah, he was there for 4
yeah.
seasons, so it should have been 2016.
Yeah, I don't think it's on YouTube. I've looked for clips of it as well. But just for that alone, I think that he shouldn't ever set foot on a sideline anywhere again for the purposes of coaching a football team. And I just learned this morning. Actually, I was listening to Ramon and Will show, and apparently Brian Callahan was on his staff and was mentored by Mike McCoy earlier on in his coaching career.
Right.
Well, they were on staff. I don't know about mentorship and all that kind of stuff. But I think they only crossed paths like 1 year, 2 years over at Denver. But I appreciate the call.
You got
Dan.
a quick question for me or no?
Oh, well, sorry.
We hung up.
That's all right. Was his question within the crying question? Do you remember
I don't know,
us?
but nice job dropping the lines early.
I'm quick. You got to be quick. If you're going to say you have a question, you got to get your question
He's a first-time caller, man. Give him some leeway.
We're trigger over there.
Hey. We like to throw our listeners in the deep end is how we kind of do it. If he has a question that he forgot to ask, he can call back in.
But you're not teaching him how to float if you don't know.
That's true. Well,
he doesn't think like that,
got
boy.
swim.
Oh.
Can't float. Got to swim. All right, let's go to
dog pedal.
yeah. Let's go to Luke at Clarksville. Luke at Clarksville. You're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey guys, what's up? Just two really quick questions. I think obviously the news yesterday kind of overshadowed a lot of what would have happened this week, and that's discussion of the play against the Raiders. One thing that alarmed me was that just like in preseason, Cam again threw it off his back foot trying to get it out, threw an interception. He did it twice in preseason.
Luke, we lost you. Sorry, you're cutting in and out. Call back in when you get something in. So I think he was going for Xavier Estrepo, Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett hasn't done much. Should we start leaning into Xavier Estrepo? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think he just needs to learn how to dog pedal.
There you go.
I could not hear him, man. I just like, oh man, come on.
There you go. I like it. Let's go to Titanomics on the line. Titanomics, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Yo, hey, so we averaged 4 yards a play under Callahan. Crazy. And we can't get any worse. I know all of those were screens.
Y'all got to stop saying that. This team could definitely get worse.
Boy.
They find new ways to get worse.
No, you can't get. But you're an offensive guru, and we only getting. Well, look, he's fired. Not reliving the past, but it can't get any worse. So Emmett's guy is an interim. I like what you said, Zach. we got to stop getting in our feelings and getting emotional about somebody who's only here temporarily.
Right.
Let Berganzi do his thing, man. I trust Berganzi, and I trust that he'll figure it out.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I will say this.
We said Berganzi is doing too much there, man, as far as calling the shots, man.
We said it like 2 or 3 weeks ago on this show. We both sat here and said, Berganzi has to be the guy that runs and hires the next head coach.
Yeah.
Will Chad Brinker let him do that? Will Burke Nihill let him do that? Will Amy Adams Strunk and Kenneth Adams and all the ownership group let him do that? Because that's who it needs to be. It needs to be Mike Berganzi. Now they can all be in the room and all that kind of stuff, but we said this 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's got to be Mike Berganzi.
No, it has to be a collaborative effort.
No more. Not that word. No more of that word.
Just like our show, collaborate.
Yeah. We collaborate. He has to collaborate now.
But we're good at collaborating. I don't know if they are.
Him and Brinker may have a pre-existing relationship, so maybe that'll make it more collaborative.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm hoping so, where they kind of see things out of the same lens. But we don't know that, and we'll probably never know that if that's really true or not. But I'm hoping. And that way they get it right. And then all three are on the same page.
Hopefully. I don't know.
Do we know when the infatuation with Mike's started for head coaching candidates?
Oh,
I mean, it must have been Mike Munchak, right?
So, like, is Mike McCarthy going to be the next coach because of that?
Maybe if Mike McCoy doesn't get hired. Remember, they hired Mike Mularkey, and maybe they regret firing Mike Mularkey a little bit. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe they're trying to recreate that Mike Mularkey magic.
You might need to narrow down your sheet over there.
I know I had 38. Listen, I had.
You had 38 head coach potential.
I had 38. I got it down to 10 plus a dark horse candidate.
10?
Yeah, 10. I went 10. Man. I had a hard time getting to 5. But I went 10 with the dark horse candidate. That'll be for tomorrow's show, though. We'll do our coaching candidates for tomorrow's show.
Man, I do not like to get into the coaching business.
I know. I'm with you on that.
You've been doing that for the last
you might be on his list, boy.
Yeah. You may be on the list. You don't know if you made my list.
They were going to just hire and then just fire somebody. I could have easily been that guy. So
let's go to AG in Nashville. AG, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Yeah, I just been finding it amazing how the fans and the media have been asking for Amy Strunk, like she just gonna give you a straight up answer about what's going on. And it was real funny how he asked some folks, "Where's Amy Adams right now?" Like that just was amazing to me. And I trip how as fans we feel like we won because they fired the coach. Man, without the right players, man, I just feel like, it don't matter who we bring in, we is not going to win. So how is that a victory because we fired a head coach? And something about these coaches, too, that it seems like I'm noticing, what happened to coaches that bench players? Like, why players don't get benched? Like no matter who you is, what happens to the head coaches that make you sit down on that bench if you ain't playing right? That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's old school right there.
I want to know where Lou Holtz is right now. Right now.
He's retired somewhere.
Hey, listen, maybe that's why you go Nick Saban. He didn't make my list. I forgot to put him on there, but
I was saying that's what the question about Amy reminded me of.
Yep. All right, let's go to Michael in Columbia. Michael in Columbia, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
All right. Well, I'm not no football expert. I'm stupid, so I ain't like some of these callers that call in being football gurus or all that. So I grew up a Tampa Bay fan. We had 14 losing seasons, went through dozens of coaches. And, it's no different in life. You go through cycles. And sometimes to get to the top, you got to go to the bottom. So my advice to Titan fans is just ride it out, don't jump ship, and eventually things get turned around. But there's one question that I have, and I want to ask this to Blaine since he's a former football player. Okay, you take Will Levis and Cam Ward and, your franchise quarterbacks. And to develop a quarterback, I know the playbook from the NFL is different from college. Wouldn't it be easier to develop a quarterback using like some of what he did in college and then translate it into the pros? That way he can develop more. And I mean, I don't know. I never played football, and I'm stupid when it comes to I couldn't tell you a play from this or that. But I think if you're going to draft a quarterback, maybe the transition to be a professional quarterback would be to translate to what he does and succeeded in the college game and then develop him slowly into the professional level. And that's really all I got. And you gentlemen have a good day, and thanks for taking my call.
Hey, you too, Michael.
Yeah, I appreciate your call. I mean, I think we both can answer that question.
Yeah.
I mean, there's multiple ways you can develop a quarterback. First and foremost, to me, you got to make sure you got your offensive line. You got some weapons. Let's start there because he won't have success at all if that's not going on. Let's go there. And then you try to, and I think that's what Brian Callahan tried to do, was implement things that he was successful with in college. But sometimes all that doesn't translate to the pros because the pro game is a little bit different. Especially individually and talented. So you try to lean into the things he's really good at, but there's only so many things you can do. Ultimately, you have to develop, and that's why the price is so steep when you go number one overall, is that you have all these tools in the tool bag, and you can pull them out and use them at any part in time. That means he can make every throw and do a lot of different things most quarterbacks, stationary quarterbacks, can't do. So you try to lean into those things. I think, Zach, you brought up some of the things that they don't do as far as play action pass, RPO game. There's a lot of things you try to do, but is the league and his line going to protect them enough? And will they catch the ball? Do you have enough playmakers? So there's a realm of things around the quarterback that has to go right too as well. And they're in the middle of developing a quarterback with not all tools and offensive line where it needs to be.
Yep. I'd look at it like this. You can't go full college, but you could start. I like what Cliff Kingsbury did last year with Jaden Daniels. He started out with a little bit of heavy RPO, lean in on the run, make everything easy for Jaden Daniels. And as the season progressed, they took away those easier plays and added on extra layers to the offense. And I think with today's quarterbacking in the NCAA, specifically in the college ranks, that's probably the best way to do it, is to start off with stuff that they're more familiar with, lean in, and if you can, with the right personnel, players over plays, right? And start adding in stuff as the season goes on and make things a little bit more complicated or difficult, however you want to put it, put more stuff on their plate, so to speak. Let's close it off with Bobby in Nashville. Bobby, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
I've got a good thought for a head coach. He played in the NFL, got to a Super Bowl. He coached and got to a Super Bowl. How about Ron Rivera? I'll shut up and listen.
I like what Ron Rivera has done as a head coach with the Carolina Panthers. The Commanders thing, maybe that's a lot of, Dan Snyder issues, I'm not I wouldn't be totally out on it, but I'm just not really feeling it at this point in time going forward.
Where has he been at? He was on the staff. He was our linebackers coach there in Philadelphia when I was there.
Yeah, so he was
a great human being.
Yeah.
I mean, man, good Lord.
Defensive coordinator for the Bears, right? Defensive coordinator of the Bears, then linebackers coach for the Chargers, then defensive coordinator for the Chargers, then Carolina Panthers head coach. And then he went to the Washington football team. He went through 3 name changes, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, where is he today?
Today, he's the general manager of the California Golden Bears.
Right. So he's available.
He's also probably sitting pretty over there. As a general manager of a college football team.
Yeah, great dude, Ron. Was great.
2-time coach of the year.
That is true.
Yeah. I remember watching Ron Rivera play for the Chicago Bears. Did you know he played for Chicago?
I do know he played for the Chicago Bears. In fact, that was the only team he played for, right? I don't think he went anywhere else other than Chicago. Linebacker, right?
Yeah. He was kind of more outside. I think Mike Singletary was kind of inside there.
There you go.
Yeah, so I remember watching because Indianapolis didn't have a team, and we got all Bears game. So I watched all of the Bears game from Jim McMahon at quarterback to they had a slew of guys, but naturally Walter Payton Sweetness. So he was on. They had a heck of a team there, and Coach Mack was on the staff. Yeah. So why did they bring Coach Mack to the field?
Well, speaking of. We got Coach Mack coming up next. This is time for his weekly Mack Attack here on Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. And you know what that music means, because it's Tuesday. It's time for our weekly Mac Attack with Coach Mac, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. And Coach Mac, what is this transition like? Because obviously you got an interim head coach. And what is this transition like from the coaching side to be able to, with Mike McCoy, be able to maybe try to right the ship in the right direction?
Well, I mean, I've been an interim head coach, and I've been through this process personally, and it's tough. It's hard to begin with because I mean you've got loyalty to the guy that hired you as a head coach, and then all of a sudden he's gone, and then at the flip, you're put in charge, and when you take over as an interim head coach, it's usually not because things are going great. And so that's number one. The number two thing is you've got to get right back on track with what's happening, because the National Football League doesn't stop for anybody. Just because you're having troubles and all of a sudden you've changed the head coach doesn't mean everybody else in the league puts it on pause. It's still going down the track really fast. So you've got to make that transition very, very quickly. And that's why it's advantageous to have been in the building, to understand what the problems are, what they are. It's not like you're going to take a magic wand and wave it over everything, but you got to bring everybody together. And I can remember back when I did it. The first thing that I did was, of course, you have a meeting with the coaches, you get all of that stuff settled, and then very quickly you got a team meeting. But the thing is, you've got to get ready. In this case, you got to get ready for the New England Patriots, and that's what's first and foremost in the mind, because you're not going to change everything immediately overnight. What you do have to do is you have to continue to address the things that are going wrong, because clearly when a head coach is dismissed, things are not going the way that they need to go. So you've got to get immediately to the time on task, and that's where it helps. Mike McCoy has been a head coach before, so at least he has that experience. That helps him. And he's going to have to lean on some of the veteran coaches on his staff and the veteran players. I mean, this is about players. And so you've got to pull them together too.
Obviously he's been a head coach before. How much change when you get your second stint at a certain coaching position do you change from your first stint? I mean, because obviously he was 41. It was his first time. He talked about today he didn't know all the ins and outs that would go into head coaching, all the decisions, non-football decisions that he would have to make. How much can that help him now kind of taking this ship in the middle of the season?
Well, it helps him that he's done it before. I mean, that's a huge help. I mean, it really is, because until you are ever sitting in that seat, you really have no idea of everything that it involves. I mean, it's a major job. It's one of 32. It's a high profile situation, and no matter how many years you've been in the league as an assistant coach, it's not the same as being the head coach. So that does help him. That helps him, but he's not going to change this thing immediately. It's going to have to be an incremental change during the weeks, and he's got 11 weeks to do it. But his previous experience, that helps.
We're on with Coach Mac for his weekly Mac Attack, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Well, Coach, first and foremost, I forgot he was even as Mr. McCoy here, who's now the head coach. What was his actual duties there? As I don't know what even his title was.
Senior offensive assistant.
Now, what is that when you're in there? Is that kind of like what Swartzy did and what Vrabel did at Cleveland? Kind of take us through what that's like, even when you're around, at least in the building, knowing some of the issues.
Yeah, well, absolutely, it is. I mean, you're there as as an overseer for a lot of things, and he was on offense, and that's what he was doing, just like Schwartzy and just like Mike Vrabel did for the defense. They're there to give their opinions, having been former head coaches, being able to get an overall view, per view of what's going on with the team. I mean, I was an assistant head coach, for about a dozen years, so you get a chance to oversee and observe the whole team at a time. And then when you're asked for your opinion, then that's what you do. That's what's given to you. So it's a position that allows you. I mean, I know what it allowed me to do. It allowed me to know every player on the football team, and also to get a good feel for what was going on as far as just the continuous tone and the timber of your football team. So it's again, on the offensive side of it. Now, I was an assistant head coach, so I was, had purview over the defense, the offense, and the special teams. But him having been there, his opinion was probably asked on quite a few things. And so it helps that he was there. As I said earlier to Zach, it helps because you understand what has been going wrong. I mean, that's something that's very, very important to know if you're charged with taking one of these things over on an interim basis, like I was. I knew what the issues were. I also knew that the issues weren't going to be an immediate fix, but also at the same time, I knew where the problems were.
Well, let's go with the problems on the field. What did you see from your observations from the Raiders game that you can kind of, take with you and say, man, we got to get better at this?
Well, the offense. I mean, you got to get the offense. I mean, the offense has not been in rhythm yet this year, and really they have not played any complimentary football yet this year. That's what you're looking for. I mean, there have been stretches where the defense has played really well. Where the special teams, have been doing their job. Offensively, they've worked in spurts. The offense has kind of been like a bicycle chain that's slipping on sprockets. I mean, they'll go good for a while, and then all of a sudden they hit a really bad lull. And a bad lull within the context of a football game, it doesn't take much, for all of a sudden that to cascade on you, especially in the third and the fourth quarter. So, I mean, clearly the offense and also just the continuity by series with the offense and is something that is, I know is going to have to be continually addressed right now.
If you recall any of McCoy's offensive prowess as a head coach, what were some of the things that, if you recall, that he did when he was the head coach of the Chargers offensively? Since he's an offensive guy.
I mean, he I know this. He's been with some pretty prolific passing offenses.
Yeah.
In particular, I could not go back. I haven't gone that far back to remember the 4 years that he was the head coach there. But he made his bones being a really good offensive coach, especially in the passing game.
No doubt about it. Now, lastly, New England's coming to town. What does Drake May look like? I know didn't they go over overtime last year? Or what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Drake May played against this team last year. But Drake May
he was scary.
Is having a really, really good year. I mean, he's 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions is all that he's thrown. He's playing at a very high level. His rushing acumen, along with the 2 running backs, is really good. I mean, they're playing football at a high level right now, and then plus defensively, they're top 5 in the league. So I mean, but the quarterback, I mean, last year you could, when they played here, you could see glimpses of what he was going to be, and his second year, he may be playing as well as any second-year quarterback right now in the league.
There you have it, Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack.
Coach, we've had a few callers call in and ask if they're going to be changing the entire playbook or anything like that. Just take us through the interim head coach, likely just changing maybe the approach of using the existing playbook. Is that how you kind of foresee this going?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got 11 weeks left. You're not going to change your playbook, and you're not going to change your vocabulary. You may change some of the things that you do, some of the things you emphasize by game plan. I mean, that's, you change, you emphasize game plan changes by a week anyway, because your opponent is different. But I mean, as far as just thinking that you're going to throw everything out, I mean, again, as I said, I've had experience with this because everything is not going wrong. I mean, you still got a pretty good defense you need to lean on. The special teams need to keep playing just like they're playing. You just need to clean up your continuity on offense. And so, you can't throw everything out and just start all the way over. There are some different things you can do. I probably expect him to, make some changes in the practice schedule. Those types of things, you do. But just throwing a playbook completely out. And again, playbooks is a nebulous term, because I mean there's certain concepts are concepts, but what you do, it's always been about. I've always believed it's always been more about players than it's about plays. Always.
Well, with J.C. Latham coming back from injury, what did you see from him? It kind of looked like maybe the injury was bothering him a little, but hey, you're out in the field. You got to give it your all. And what did you see about his return to the game and going up against Max Crosby in this Raiders defense?
Well, Max Crosby is going to give anybody problems, whether you're whole and healthy or not. I mean, Max Crosby, and especially when put in that situation, again, I keep talking about it. If you give a pass rusher like that the green light when you've got third and double distance, it's a problem. It's an issue. I mean, it really is. You just can't. So look, I'm sure the JC is a little bit rusty, coming back, and that's to be expected. But to put it all on, because and look, Max Crosby, the narrative that Max Crosby had one foot in the grave, that was completely wrong.
All right. So Mike McCoy was named interim head coach yesterday. I'm sure he got to work today, but you also had the press conference. Players are off. Is there a little concern about being behind the 8 ball, or is just Mike McCoy going to be sleeping at the facility all week?
Well, no, you're not behind the 8 ball. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time, and he's as soon as he had the meeting and he was offered the job and decided to take it, then he was rolling. I mean, again, I can speak from experience, and I know what you do. You're not behind the 8 ball, but you're now, rather than being an overseer on the offensive side of the football, now, he's in charge of getting a lot of things set and a lot of things done. But as we talked about earlier in this discussion, which I think was a great point, he's done it before. That's a huge advantage.
Speaking of behind the 8 ball, Coach, I'm glad you brought that up. Did the Titans give you a call to come down there and help them out and be an interim coach too, or are you just keeping secrets from us?
Well, that
whoa, that's a yes or no.
that did not even enter the picture of the movie.
Oh no, yes, it always enters the picture. It just maybe not got to you.
Last question before we let you go. You talked about this offense getting into rhythm. What can this Tennessee Titans coaching staff kind of implement in the game to get them into a rhythm?
There's no magic wand for this. I mean, you got to look, every play is designed, to work to a certain level. That's what you've got to do. You can't, again, I keep saying this, and it's 100% true. I don't care what play you call. You've got to be able to work it so that, look, on first down, you're trying to get 5 or 6 yards. You're not trying to hit a home run every time you snap the football, but you've got to be able to keep your series going. That's been the issue. They have not been able to put series together, much less plays together in a series to keep it going. Been way too many third and double digits. There's been way too many third and outs. So that's what you have to do. You have to be able to go play by play by play and whatever play is called against whatever front or defense that they're going to employ, you need that success to stay ahead of the chains. You got to stay ahead of the chains. Let's just start doing that and then see where we go from there.
All right, Coach Mack, enjoy not having to go on the road. You get to stay home for since over the last 3 weeks.
No, I'm still going to go to the airport, get on a plane, and fly out to the West Coast and then fly back.
Oh, man, look at you. All right. I like it. All right. We appreciate it, Coach Mack.
See you guys. Thanks. See you.
All right. That was Coach Mack here for his weekly Mack Attack, brought to you by Tours Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Coming up next, we'll talk about, Brinker and Bergonzi mentioned a lot about growth. How do they define growth? What does that mean? We'll also talk a little bit about J.C. Latham and get to your phone call, 615-737-1045. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 1045 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. Last call for phone calls. Let's go to Bill in Franklin, who wants to talk about Borgonzi and Chad Brinker. Bill, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
What's up?
My thing is wherever I've worked, and I know it's apples and oranges, there's always been a delineation of labor. This is this guy's job. This is this guy's job.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead and do your job. You're not crossing lines, not going over the median or whatever. But I mean, why wouldn't they just hire Brinker from the get-go? If he's got final control, I just don't understand. I mean, they're stepping on Borgonzi's feet. I mean, I ain't even listening, guys. I'm just so confused about that. I appreciate y'all. Good show, man.
So here's kind of how I view this Brinker-Borgonzi relationship, is that Borgonzi pretty much has free reign to do whatever he wants. And when Brinker feels like he wants to step in or needs to step in, he'll step in. But from what I understand,
So you're talking about from roster control to the draft picks.
From what I understand, Borgonzi ran this NFL draft. From what I understand, he ran the NFL draft. Now, Brinker had his input heard and everything, but he kind of his style of leadership is letting the people that do their job. Mm-hmm. Is pretty much what I understand. Now, he obviously helps out in certain aspects, like he watches film, so he puts his input. He oversees the salary cap and contracts and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, the football stuff that you expect a GM to do, he lets Borgonzi do it. Now, does that mean that hiring the next head coach, he'll let Borgonzi do it? I don't know. But from what I understand, it's pretty much Borgonzi's show for the most part. But obviously, he has the power to overturn, veto, whatever you want to call it, anything that he does not agree with.
Well, with that kind of structure, then, that maybe make it tough for a veteran coach.
Maybe. Unless he truly is, and everybody can say that he just kind of sits up in his office and plays on his computer.
When I say that is because most coaches are going to want control of at least their roster, who's playing on game day, who's dressing, and all these things, and not telling them who should be starting and who's not. I mean,
because we know that with Jarvis Brownlee Jr., that's kind of how things went down.
And by the way, I saw him on the Jets look really good the other night. Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, maybe they will trust the next coach to have that power. I don't know.
It's got to be written in there.
Yeah, it's got to be written in there. So it can't be just like, we're collaborating.
If change on that, then they're going to go young. There's no veteran coach is going. They're going to have to be able to have input at least on their
because Borgonzi has the final say allegedly. Mm-hmm. Now he has the final say until Brinker wants to use his final say. Brinker has final say until Amy Adams Strunk wants to use her final say. You get what I'm saying? But right now,
pecking order.
There's always a pecking order, and that's how it works. Let's go to Panama Eric. Panama Eric, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Great.
Good, man. Hey, first-time caller, and love the show. And I've been here in Tennessee for only about 3 years, but been following the Titans. And, I just wanted to touch base. This may be a little bit different way of thinking, but, if we're talking a lot about all the coaches and, the changes and things that they have to do. But at the end of the day, I think we need to focus more on the players,
Mm-hmm.
Are the players doing their job? It's funny to me because at the end of the day, that's what those are the guys that need to help win the game. Now, I know sometimes, and this might sound a little odd, but I was in business for about 30 years. And, if you can't change the players, sometimes you might have to change the players. And I hope that doesn't sound too harsh, but, it seems to me, and if they can't change the players, how about take some of the guys that are that second string, that want to play, they're dying to play. Hey, you know what? give them incentives, put them in, and see how hard they play. And guess what? At the end of the day, if you win, they get their incentives. Just a little bit off the wall, kind of, but I'm just putting it out there, and I'll let you think about it, and I appreciate you guys taking the call.
No problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's something to that. Eventually, you'll start seeing younger and younger players be playing for this team if they keep losing.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it, as well as, who will be on a trading block.
Yep. Yeah, you never know.
I do think this team was playing really hard, though. Oh, man, the effort was never a question under Callahan, at least as far as my concern. Those guys play hard every bit of, I don't know how smart they were playing and doing their responsibilities, but as far as just let's give some effort, they gave it all they got. And they still will. I'm pretty sure of that. I think it's innate in those guys.
All right, let's go to Gorilla, because I think, Gorilla, are you going to apologize to Van Jefferson for calling him a chump on air?
Oh, this was Gorilla?
No.
He was the leading receiver last week.
Yeah, but he looked pretty
yards?
good.
Oh, hold on. Who was that that said garbage time?
It was all through the game.
Kevin really only played 6 plays. Kevin really only played 6 plays.
On, man. Okay.
Best receiver on the team.
I'm not with Van Jefferson, guys. I'm still getting him out of there, too. But because I want Restrepo, man, I just want to see what that's going to look like. I want to see what that's going to look like, and I think that it's coaching malpractice to not even try to explore that. That's all I'm saying. If you get the job done, I'm going to love you because we're winning, and of course, we're not winning. But you know what, Blaine? There was something you said yesterday, man. I thought it was just a genius move, and I mean, it's just what you do. Watching, I'm sorry, Blaine. I mean, dude, you know your stuff, guy. You know how to move men. You know how to get in the room and chop it up with individuals, man. It's the truth, dude. It's the truth. But no, Blaine.
What happened?
You had said that you would entertain the idea of bringing Mike McCarthy in.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was genius. It almost feels like they fired Callahan and didn't have a clue of what they were going to do next. Ooh. And that's scary. That's scarier than keeping him. That's just what it feels like. And part two with the Brinker deal, I think Brinker is just an extension of Amy. Just the guy in the room to spy and be there for Amy. She's Amy's man. Hey. That's what I think it is with him. He has no real defined role other than this is what Amy wants to do. This is what we're going to do. Amy said, no, don't draft the best. You know what I'm saying. I think he's just an Amy plant.
Amy plant.
All right, thanks, Gorilla.
Boy, man, if he's just an Amy translator of what's going on in the building, man, hey, I'll take that job too, man, for millions of dollars. Hey, Ross said he'll be my assistant.
Hey, I was going to say, the way Gorilla was talking about you, Zach might need to move you up that coaching list.
He's a mover of men, apparently.
A mover of men. That didn't even sound right.
Hey, we got some media updates from the Tennessee Titans.
They put restrictions on you?
No. 2:20 p.m. tomorrow, interim head coach Mike McCoy and Cam Ward will be available after practice at the same time. Then Denard Wilson, Nick Holtz, and John Fossil will be available after practice at 2:20 p.m. on Thursday as well. So both of them during our show. So there you go.
Oh, well, that's great. Fantastic.
I don't know. Well, we won't be able to carry the offensive or the coordinators unless they change that.
Oh, but no, they told Ross we could.
Yeah, well, maybe we can.
Only us. Only Buck can do it.
Yeah,
I'll work my charm.
So Blaine, mover of men. But I mean, obviously Mike McCarthy, big name. We've been talking about Mike McCarthy for a little bit as an obvious connection, and we'll give our final.
That would be his third shot. So some people may not want to give him.
And he's been successful at all of his stops in some form or fashion.
If he dealt with Jerry Jones, this would be nothing.
It'll be nothing. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and all that. Oh man! Apparently there was some rumor. What did I hear?
It was groomers?
Recently today. No groomers. No groomers. No John Gruden. That he was showing, where did I hear this? I think it may have been PK, said something about that he was showing clips of Austin Powers, clips to the players for some kind of motivation. I've never heard this before, Mike McCarthy has, but maybe I need to do some research into Mike McCarthy and his kind coaching.
Well, there's a whole bunch of other candidates. I think we're gonna do a list tomorrow.
Well,
right?
I mean, if you want me to go through all 38 of them tomorrow, we can spend the whole show. I got it down to 10.
I know you love Coach
Mike
research.
McCarthy's on there, but he's not number 1. And guess who didn't even make the top 10? Matt Nagy did not make the top 10.
Oh man, I heard Fowler.
Ross. He's Ross's top 10.
Fowler early say Nagy.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty obvious
Fowler
connection,
on,
right? Like
the propaganda's starting.
Yeah, Nagy and
I'm with
McCarthy.
you. No Nagy.
Yeah. I think Nagy and McCarthy are going to be the two big names that you're going to hear because they have the obvious connections. And when there's Art Smith will be another one, I'm sure that will be in that discussion because of obvious connections. No, does not mean that they are going to get the job or the best candidates, but I mean, obviously they're also going to be interviewed. But I got 10, and Matt Nagy's not on the top 10. Well, I thought he may be just outside the top 5, but when I get through the list, I did my research.
ain't backpedaling. I told you.
I'm just saying. Listen, I approached the hiring process with more vigor and detail than they do. So, like, I'm just saying, I went through rosters. I went to the college ranks. I looked at buyouts for the college coaches because, I mean, they obviously, like, I like Marcus Freeman, but they would probably have to pay like $50 million to buy him out. They have to pay $20 million to get out Dan Lanning. Don't think that's going to happen at this point.
You didn't put Lane Kiffin on there? Nope.
Ooh, I didn't think about it. Let me go look at Lane Kiffin's buyout. We're up to 39. Well, actually, we're up to 40 because I forgot Nick Saban. So we're up to 40, and I'll have to see if they make the top 10. All right, that will do it for us. 3HL's up next. This has been Covered 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime,
and in between time,
peace.
I know.